All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So we're gonna cover three on this one. Two of them should be very familiar, and then one of them, very good conversation on Twitter, and I really wanted to make a video on it. So we'll cover SoFi, we'll cover SoundHound, and we'll cover Marvell. All right, that's the third one here. And hey, SoFi has started to do really well, and truth be told, I am loving the weekly chart on SoFi, all right? We've been really, really tight, and oh man, this seems like a very interesting week with some really nice lower indicators as well. So, SoFi, I'm obviously going to talk about the daily, don't get me wrong, but that weekly is what's really catching my eye. With SoundHound, I mean, I feel like I've been saying it on the last couple videos. SoundHound has a way of staying horizontal. And normally I like to joke, hey, if you're going to go horizontal, just put your money in the bank. It's a little safer there. But I'm really liking how we were horizontal at 2, horizontal at 4, and now kind of staying horizontal at 5, right? So though we're staying flat, that flatness is rising and rising. And hey, that's a good thing, right? And then lastly, again, I don't think I've ever covered this one, Marvell, MRVL. Sorry about that. Marvell Technology. So, truth be told, in my eyes, this is a 401k stock. You know what I mean? This is something that you literally just buy no matter what it does, because Marvell is a very important player, and a lot of really big companies buy from them. All right, semiconductors is a big sector because it has so much connected to it, right? You have AI connected to it. You have just baseline science and technologies connected to it, right? Like Marvell, this thing looks primed. And again, same comments on SoFi. I like this weekly a lot. And truth be told, I never talk about it, but I like this monthly a lot as well. All right. So we might be taking a little bit wider of a view on this one because, again, to me, Marvell's an important ticker. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So excited to talk about these ones for sure. But before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel, share this video online, comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms, but for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I am so grateful for it all right? So let's get into it, right? And SoFi has been really turning things around, all right? So it was in early July, maybe let's call it middle of July. This was my first bullish video on SoFi in a good while, all right? We were struggling for months to get over that 50 moving average line, right? Literally from March all the way to that July month that I just mentioned, right? Just living under that red line. All of a sudden things start to change, all right? And we make our way over the 50, we make our way over the 100, and we get ourselves up to this 200, right? Look, the 200 is the last moving average for a reason. This is a baseline moving average, and it is a difficult one to break up, and we see it right here, right? So many battles, literally for a 3-week window. And then lo and behold, a hard rejection, right? We talked about that rejection. That was very much an indice rejection, right? We're looking at S&P 500. We're looking at the NASDAQ. That was a scary 3 days on those. And hey, SoFi is going to follow the currents of the ocean, right? And it's going to have that same 3 days. So in some ways, I'm not sure if this was a true rejection of the 200 or just an indice movement. Nonetheless, we make our way back down, right? As you saw, and I'll flash it just in case, but after those 3 days, it was beautiful, right? The S&P 500 all of a sudden gets back over all the moving averages and runs. When we look at NASDAQ, the exact same story, right? After the 3 scary days, lo and behold, it comes back up here, right? And really, again, SoFi following the current of the indices, okay? What makes SoFi a little more interesting now is the Supreme Court ruling. Okay, so Biden has the loan forgiveness that he's been trying to push. Look, I'm not here to give you my opinions about that, right? There are people that love it. There are people that are really angry that they had to pay their loans, but others don't, right? Like, it's a very, very hot topic. Nonetheless, SoFi loves the fact that the Supreme Court said no. SoFi was about to go from where am I going to get back these student loan dollars that I gave out to, oh yeah, these boys and girls are about to pay me back that money because that's what the Supreme Court said, right? And hey, that's a real good reason to hold an uptrend. And look, this uptrend right here is actually nicer than this right here. You can see there's a hard flat on the S&P 500 for about a week and a half right there. There was also a hard flat on the NASDAQ, and actually even a little bit of a downtrend, right? But at the minimum, we'll say a hard flat, right? SoFi just kept going up, right? So SoFi now has that mix of the indices aren't bad, and there is very, very direct related news that is good for SoFi. Again, if the Supreme Court said student loan forgiveness, that's okay, that's it, they don't have to pay it back, oh, this would have been horrible. SoFi would have had to erase dollars that they were supposed to be getting, right? So very, very big decision for the company itself, all right? On the daily, we are over all 5 moving averages. On the daily, we have just golden crossed the 8 over the 200. And look at that. We've golden crossed not only the 20 to the 100, but hey, by Monday, you can see it. Or sorry, by Tuesday tomorrow, right? That line is probably going to come. I don't know the math behind the lines, right? But that thing's going up. It's going to go over that 100, right? So there are a number of golden crosses going on right here. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, all right? When we look at the weekly is actually a pretty interesting one because we've literally never closed above the 50 moving average on the weekly. I mean, since March, right? This candle closes under the line. This candle opens above it, but it closes under. And then literally we had some wicks on the weekly, but we never get over that red line. This was the first weekly candle over the 50 moving average since March. That says a lot, all right? Now look, we can't get too excited about a single candle, right? You know I always say that. But if next week can confirm, oof, where are we? Look, there is no 200 moving average. There are only 4 MAs, right? When I click in this, and if you look in the box over there, there's no purple line right there, right? This stock has not been alive for 200 weeks just yet. You know what I mean? So we are actually testing a break of all the moving averages on the weekly. We are nearly positive on the MACD. We have a very, very nice 60 RSI, green over red with a nice divergence on, again, divergence just means 2 lines are going away from each other. This is the divergence we want. We want the green to go up and the red to stay down. Green to go up, stay down, right? And hey, volume, it's not spectacular, but the last 2 weeks were over the 50-day volume line, right? So I think if we can confirm, oof, that'll start to bring some volume, all right? So what am I looking for? Let's see if I got to raise this 850 line because the weekly is saying raise that 850 line. Where is 850? Oh no, I like 850 on the daily. Okay, this is my answer. On the weekly chart, okay, excuse me, small hiccup. We need to close over 850 by Friday. Okay, so we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have 4 days to basically make 50 cents here. All right, I want the weekly candle over this resistance. I want to believe that we have escaped these moving averages. Break me a resistance, I think will make me believe that. Now, one thing I said was this makes it actually look like the support should be a little higher. I think the weekly line is a little closer to here. $8.64. All right, that's basically the bottom of this candle right here, almost the half of this, and I would say pretty much the half of that as well. So I think between 850 and 870, that little 20-cent window is what we're looking for by Friday's close to confirm the weekly, all right? I think this daily is a really interesting one, all right? If I had to guess, because look, this is a little bit of a high RSI. That's 77 right there. You know, I start to ring the, I don't want to use the word panic, but 80 generally says it's a little too overbought. We need a healthy cool down a little bit, right? So we haven't confirmed this 200 very, very well. All right, that's a doji right there. That's a all right candle. I wouldn't call that a big beautiful candle. That's a red candle. That's a good candle, but that doesn't count right there either, right? So we still really haven't had that good back to back candle. I can see either one of two things happening. All right, either now let me come here real quick. What's this line? Oh, that's actually what we wicked. Okay, so okay, let me give my thoughts. It's a little hard to put the numbers here. So one thing that I can see, and I've seen it a bunch of times, is you reject, reject, reject. You're now living over. I wouldn't be surprised if we came back down, bounced on the line, and headed up. The line being either the eight or sorry, the 200 or maybe the eight, because the stock generally goes, I can't beat this line. I can't beat this line. I've gotten over it. I'm going to come back down and use it as a support. When you go from resistance, 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 resistance to use as a support, that's generally the signal that this line has become a good friend. Again, looking at the weekly, it's kind of saying, hey, maybe we're just going to keep on going up, up. And truth be told, that was a pretty decent doji right there. But I wouldn't be too surprised if we came back down towards that 760. Listen, this is 100% bullish, even as low as like 740, right? I can see us going maybe even just a little under the 200 and then ripping back up, right? Like as long as I can believe this 200 purple line is a friendly line, I'm okay with it. I'm willing to take, like I said, 740 as the lowest, but come back down, hit it, bounce, and take off. That would maybe even take the 77 RSI down to like a 60 something and then a re-rip back up to the 80s. I could see that being a lovely thing. You know what I mean? So again, Friday, we want to get a little closer to the mid 80s. I wouldn't be worried if I see Tuesday and Wednesday come down, because then hopefully Thursday and Friday could rip up. All right, so SoFi, this is nice technicals. We are over all the moving averages on the daily. A little bit of a high RSI, but again, that's just a single indicator. I'm liking this weekly. This weekly is kind of telling me, give me a good week tomorrow. Give me a good weekly candle by Friday, and hey, maybe even next week can start to try to push like almost a 9 actually. So I $9 in 2 weeks, I wouldn't be surprised actually. All right. Yeah, I think that's it for SoFi. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Let me know if you disagree. You know that, right? Let's take a look at SoundHound. So SoundHound, I started the video with it. I'm going to say it again. I generally don't like horizontal moving stocks, all right? If you're going to just stay horizontal, put your money in the bank. You'll actually get a lot less gray hairs and a lot less stress, you know what I mean? But the strength of SoFi is that the horizontal keeps rising, all right? And I'm backing up like this for a reason. Really quick before I go forward, hey, if you can please subscribe, if you can share this video, it does wonders with the algorithms, all right? So for the longest time, this thing was living horizontally at 2. All right. And man, I remember this $2 SoundHound like it was yesterday. You know what I mean? From there, we saw moments of just living horizontally at $4, right? We had 6 days in a row, few days right there. And I think that was like a 9 count, right? From there, we've also seen us stay horizontal around this $5 mark, right? So to me, I'm seeing a stock that, yeah, it's horizontal, and yeah, you know, I don't really like that, but hey, that horizontal is rising and rising and rising, and it's setting these stronger and stronger supports higher and higher and higher, right? At the end of the day, that's not a bad thing, okay? The other thing that I'm really seeing is we're pretty much oscillating around that 100 moving average, right? And I wouldn't, maybe the word oscillation's a little bit too cavalier, but we're kind of following it. You know, we basically followed it up. We're now kind of following it horizontally. And the question is going to be, what is it about to do? Is it going to keep going up or not, right? These lower indicators don't look that great. MACD is positive, but we see red over green on both. It kind of seems like MACD might even slip into the negative. I think to me, I would actually ignore the MACD and the RSI right now because there's just two things very much jumping out. We have four of the five moving averages very, very tight, and really volume is just a little bit lackluster. And I think one of those two is real. I gotta blow my nose. I'm gonna pause this real quick. I'm so sorry. Oh man, my apologies. Sorry about that. Again, so I was talking about the tight moving averages and the volume. One of these two is really going to change and need to change very big. And I think that will help dictate what the MACD and the RSI do. All right. I've been saying it for a while and I'll say it again. I think we need to break 530 for this thing to look good. Let me see if I can lower that line a little bit. What happens if I go here? That's a little too low. I'll take it here. All right, we'll lower it a little bit. We'll take it to that. I think I'm willing to accept, let's raise it just a little bit. Let's take the top of view. 521. I don't think that was too far from where that original line was. I think it was like 527 or something. But hey, a couple pennies lower is not a bad thing, right? So I would wait for 521. All right, personally, that's going to start to make me believe that we've escaped these moving averages. And I mean, just look from 520 to 780. Green, 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 red, red, red. Green, 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 red, red, red. Nothing, 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 nothing. Green, 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 red, red, red. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Like that is a very, very fast channel up. And that is really what we're looking for, okay? If we lose that 100 moving average, if we lose, I think this is the line. 460. Let's call it a flat 460. I think if we lose 460, we might be falling all the way down to just below 410. 409 is basically what I'm clicking on. That's basically a 40%, a 10% loss right there. You're going to lose 40 cents, give or take, taking you to that 410, right? So, that's a decent risk reward there, depending on what your tolerance is, right? But the goal is break 520 for that beautiful ride up. Look, I don't want to lose the 100 moving average, but at least we have the 200 down here. And at least I can think to myself, you know what? It should be really hard to go below $4. Because let's just look at that line. We actually haven't even used it yet. Right? We really, really haven't. These 3 days, that was the S&P move, right? Boom, boom, boom. That was the NASDAQ move, right? Comp X. Boom, 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 right? So SoundHound has a very, 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 very fresh 200 moving average as a support. It should be very hard to lose that. And in my head, we should stay over $4, even if that falls, right? So still, no one wants to go from 440 all the way to 4. That is actually a pretty bad 10% loss, right? So again, use the lines to help you make the moves, right? But again, I'm ignoring the MACD and the RSI. It's all about escaping the moving averages and doing it with good volume behind it, all right? Let's take a look at the weekly real quick. Weekly is actually basically the same thing. Now it's interesting. The weekly is saying maybe we'll go a little bit below 375 is actually a possibility on the weekly chart. That said, I think I'm going to still maintain my 200 moving average strength. We literally have not, I'm going to just show it one more time. We have not touched it a single moment since we gapped up or over that $2 thing, right? So that to me is a very, very, very strong line. And yeah, I think 375 is a little cavalier, especially since we're sitting at 410, a nice little chunk over $4, right? So SoundHound, I'm not a fan of horizontal, but hey, keep those horizontals going up, 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 and hey, maybe the next horizontal will be around 7, right? That's kind of what we're hunting, maybe around 6, right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's come into Marvell. All right, and again, Marvell's not a ticker I've ever covered. Marvell, to me, is a very, very big boy and big girl stock right here, all right? There are big companies that buy from Marvell. I think Apple buys from Marvell, right? Broadcom's another one, and I think Broadcom's about to have earnings next week, if I'm not mistaken. So I would probably watch that as well, but I'm liking Marvell here, all right? So real quick before I go forward, if you can subscribe, if you can share this video, oh man, it does wonders with these algorithms, all right? So look, even with what I consider a juggernaut 401k important ticker, this is going to live and die by the lines as well, right? You can see we have 4 moving averages super, super tight, right? Look at this thing. Yeah, basically since that was a good view right there. We go from the top of the line to the bottom of the line to the top to the bottom, the top. I often call this a tornado, right? The tornado throws you out, sucks you back in, throws you out, sucks you back in, and it just ups and down, ups and down, ups and downs, right? This was a pretty scary moment right here, this like middle of July, right? But really, as you look at it, all it really was doing was following the market. The S&P 500 is that exact same downtrend in the middle of July. The NASDAQ does that exact same downtrend in the middle of July, right? So really, as I'm looking at this MRVL, excuse me, as I'm looking at this Marvell chart, yeah, that's scary right there. Yeah, that's definitely losing all the MAs and falling well below with some confirmation too, right? But hey, it recovered really, really well like the markets did. It did that same flat, like if I remember just saying this a couple minutes ago. I don't know if you just fast forwarded to this part. When you look at NASDAQ was pretty much horizontal and a little bit down the last 2-ish weeks, right? That's almost identical to Marvell, right? Literally. What is nice is this Thursday Friday combo. All right, so we just had earnings on Marvell. Someone on Twitter gave a pretty nice breakdown, and yeah, it actually seems like it was good earnings. Obviously, I think a gap up will agree with it. The one thing I don't like though, this candle actually tells me that we opened up here at 78 and then we closed down here at 76-ish, right? Not the biggest of drops, right? But you know I like it when we open down here and close up here, not vice versa, right? So I'm gonna take the gap up as good earnings, but we need tomorrow, we need Tuesday to confirm, all right? So what am I looking for? I'm looking for this candle right here. I'm looking for that. Maybe we could, how much higher are you? That's a good number. I think again, this is where risk tolerance is, right? Like again, I'm not here to tell you buy, sell, hold, you know that, but I'm essentially looking to get into this candle right here on 528. This candle is the peak of our attempted escape, right? Get me into here, maybe even a little higher to get me at the top of this one in early March. And hey, all I am seeing is green, 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 red, 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 nothing, 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 right? Like 77.60 is a very, very big money line. And more than that, it's easier to see on the weekly. Over that is where we start to test all-time highs. All right. If I was to put a line, I'm going to put that one in the middle of those two. Clearly, there are higher dollars that this thing has seen, right? Like we've gone as high as 90 something on Marvell. To me, if we break, I'm going to make this one a yellow golden one. If we break this 85.90 roughly, that's going to make me think we are ready for all-time highs. All right, that to me is the line. And again, what we're looking for on tomorrow's close is at least 77.60. All right, that's the goal for tomorrow. That's what's going to make me believe that this earnings was good, that the market liked it, and all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, like the tornado has done and can continue to do, all it's going to do is shoot us up and suck us back down. And I would not be surprised if this fell down to 72. Again, if earnings was good, it should not come to 72, right? But that's the problem when there's too many lines. I'm liking the MACD, I'm liking the RSI, and I'm loving this volume right here for sure. Thursday was a nice break of the 50 volume average, and then Friday, which I always assume is a loser day, smashes and destroys the 50-day volume, right? So volume's picking up, MACD and RSI with that good divergence, and hey, this gap up is starting to make me believe, but we can't get too excited on a single candle, right? This weekly is also nice because again, it's a fresher MACD. It's a really low RSI, only in the 50s. And again, it wasn't that long ago that we were up here in the almost 80s. Even right here, we were up here in the 79s, right? So a lot of space on the weekly from this to go to from 40-ish to almost 80. And that volume looks even prettier here. Literally, the last month has basically been at the 50 volume, right? And this month was that much better. So, sorry, this week was that much better, right? So Again, there are really good signs on the daily, on the weekly, and on the monthly, right? So this Marvell is a very, very important. Someone compared it to Nvidia. I don't think it's ridiculous to compare this to Nvidia, right? Just really quickly, just to show it, Nvidia is the same semiconductor sector. It's these words right here don't change when I go MRVL, right? Those words did not, like when I look at Tilray, right? We're in a very, very different sector, right? When I look at even SoundHound, right? We're in the technology, but this is like Marvell is an Nvidia type stock. It is, you know what I mean? So I normally don't talk about these. I'm glad I got to throw it in. Please let me know if you disagree. Watch for Broadcom. Let me just flash it real quick. What is it? Avgo? Yeah, Broadcom. Avgo. Look, it's the same tightness that we see with Marvell, right? They need good earnings to gap up and go. They just had a forward split too. So if they do have good earnings, Avgo will go over that 10, like good earnings will gap it up over 170 for sure. If I had to guess, it might even take it to 175. Otherwise, bad earnings will probably take it down to here. 149, maybe even as low as 144. All right, so that's kind of my up and down for Broadcom. You must watch Broadcom even if you're only in Marvell, because again, look, that same semiconductor world that this one's in. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much.